Hello, everybody, and welcome to our weekly episode of the Inner Lenses. Today is our 80th episode. It's the 6th of January, officially the last day of Christmas. For everybody around the world, in Germany, this is even a bank holiday. So very welcome, and it's a new year, 2026. And as usual in the new year, I'm sure there's many out there with hopes, with loads of New Year's resolutions, but as we all know, they don't really work, do we? I think there's a statistics about half of people have given up on them by March, and only 1% of everybody has a New Year's resolution actually manages to bring it to December. So why is this? And there is an absolutely brilliant blog I read yesterday by an amazing man called Alec Wells. Alec, welcome. You're the reason why I came up with this topic today. And I also want to welcome our usual suspects, and I'm delighted you're back with us, Brett and Erika. Very welcome. So Erika Nadu and Brett Corcoran. And here we are. So I want to quote two sentences out of the start of the blog because they hit home. The first one is, this year does not need more promises. It needs clearer thinking, embodied accountability, and the courage to act without applause. And resolution culture, so the way you set resolutions, we mistake them as intention. And what we don't need is intention, we need a strategy. And optimism, which comes also with the New Year's resolutions, a lot of hope, a lot of optimism, needs to be replaced by responsibility. Alec's words. Alec, do you want to expand a bit on your blog? I loved it.
Well, thank you. And the Substack link will be in the comments at the end. I think we're all aware that we come towards the end of the year, we reach Christmas, and instead of looking at the voids in the year and starting to think about how we fill them or even identify whether they're still relevant, we get all fired up with this energy of, this year I'm going to change, and I don't question that the intention is good, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And the reason that we then end up at like the autumn or coming towards Christmas of the following year, sometimes feeling a bit despondent or thinking, I didn't do what I wanted to, I didn't achieve, is because we've set ourselves up to fail by being perhaps over optimistic or not having a suitable strategy. And it just leaves us flat. And we have this cycle year in, year out, same thing, set an intention, don't keep it. So I feel that what we should be doing is looking at well-formed outcomes. What do we need in order to achieve the things that we really want to achieve? And looking early in the year at putting those things in place. And from there, once the, what we call the congruent outcomes of the goal have been established, we can work towards it from a solid foundation. Someone that says they're going to quit smoking at midnight and is out on the lash, that means getting drunk in English, is going to have a cigarette at 5 past midnight because somebody they find attractive invites them outside. Someone that wants to go on a diet is going to go and eat a kebab at 2:30 when they leave the nightclub. It doesn't work. It's not practical.
I would like to know what prompted you to write this. Like, what happened right before you sat to write this blog? Like, did something alert you to this, or what was the motivation?
Because we ourselves have been through this, our Christmas, New Year of 2024, 2025, we talked about this. And I believe it was you, Erika, in one of our last recordings of the year said, right, what can we expect from one another? And you actually got got us to put it in recording. Yeah, there you go. You wrote it down as well, you fiend. So, you know, we've touched in the past on the fact that I have an addictive nature, and I need to be solid from the outset in what I want to do and what I don't want to do. So I've made some intentions that are backed up with strategy, and I thought this is an ideal time for me to reflect on that. There was a kind of companion article that you can also find on Substack that was talking about the threshold of going through the new year. So that was my thinking, yeah. And also I had 10 hours on a plane coming back from New York to think about these things.
It's really interesting because I'm looking at I asked at the end of our last recording before we broke for the holidays and stuff, what the words were that we were each going to be bringing into the new year, with January 3rd, 2026 written, on there for today. So Brett was aware and patiently create. Gaby, you said complete peace, no shiny distractions. Alec, healthier me is what you said. And my word was recalibrate. So I'm listening to this and like your blog, and the general feeling that I'm getting lately coming into New Year's, right? Like some of you might know this, but leading into the new year, I was asking people, are you excited about the new year? Because I was reading people saying really excited about what's to come, looking forward, blah, 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 all of that. And of course, as I always do, I read that and then I check in with myself. I'm like, what? Like, say what? So I'm asking around, like, who are you? Are you excited? Like, do you have all these giant hopes? Because I don't, right? So this is where I am when it comes to the New Year's ball that drops and like all of this resolution talk. I'm over it. I'm over all of that, because to me, first of all, it's sort of like when we're in the car over here in the States and suddenly we're in a new country called Canada. I don't understand. It's like one time I'm here, now I'm over here. So that's what New Year's feels like. It's like if I'm in a mindset or in a certain way on New Year's Eve, right? And suddenly it's midnight, poof, I'm all of a sudden in a totally new mindset. Like it doesn't work like that for me. So I have a really hard time historically going into the new year full of vim and vigor and all of these high hopes and aspirations, because I'm just settling from the chaos and craziness of the holiday season and getting the house and everything back in order, looking at my bank account, like what happened, what just happened the last 2 months, all of that. So for me, New Year's is about recalibrating. It's regrouping. It's hold on, where am I now? Who am I now? How do I feel about anything that I thought I cared about last year? And where does it stand this year going forward? And really, as I'm getting older, it's more about what am I feeling like doing? Honestly, like where's my energy? How do I want to be? But I'm using January. I said this the other day. I'm using the seasons to inform how I'm supposed to be, because I can't be all like, let's go get them, when I could step foot out my door and slip and break my neck, right? I got to be slow. It's icy. It's snowy outside. It's cold. Everything is very slow. It's much slower moving. To be wise, I need to move slower so I don't break my neck outside. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm going to use that to inform how I'm going. Like there's no big rush. I'm going to use January to be a little more quiet, settle down, plant some seeds, feeling into what feels important to me. I am definitely not in the team of full speed ahead in January, and I'm suddenly going to, aspire to do all these things that I had 365 days to do and didn't do last year. So let me look why I didn't do it.
That fits perfectly with strategy, because you're talking cyclical. It is winter. this is a time when we should be in stillness and at rest, whether you want to follow seasonal patterns, whether you're a Wiccan or whatever. And then you're preparing, and then you get spring, and it's things start to flourish. Summer, the long days of productivity. Autumn, reaping your harvest in whatever way that is for you in your program of the year. So you're talking straight into strategy.
Yeah. And if you think about it, the calendar is a human concept. So 31st of December and the 1st of January in nature does mean nothing.
Right.
Right? We had the longest day on the 21st of December, and the nights getting shorter and the days longer again. That's about it. And if you think the start of the new year should be spring, because that's when nature wakes up and the flowers come out. That's the start of the new year, of the new cycle of things growing and harvest coming along. Not the 31st of December. It's actually completely taken out of context if you think. But what do we do as humans? We treat January like summer has arrived. Our body wants still rest because it's dark nights, but society says you have to go full steam ahead. And to be quite honest, this funny disorder, this seasonal blah 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 disorder, whatever it's called, I don't think it's a disorder. I think it's our body saying it's winter rest, and society saying no, full speed ahead, and now do also all your resolutions. We're going to the gym at 5 in the morning and whatever you put on that list, and then we're surprised by March. We're flat down, deflated on the ground.
Yeah, for sure.
So strategy. Brett, do you have a strategy or resolutions?
Strategy? I don't have any strategy really or resolution. My strategy is just starting slow, coming up with a plan. Sometimes starting backwards. Like, what do I want? What do I need to start with? Like, I want this. Well, then I'm going to need and I work my way back, and then I start from there and try to move forward and creating it. So that's why I say slow. It's not like it's going to happen overnight. In whatever it may be. I mean, yeah, going to the gym every day, does that happen overnight? It can, but you're going to be exhausted. The beginning is exhausting, right? You don't feel it for the first month or two. That you start feeling energized. So if you stepped into it slower, that can actually, improve your length of doing it. Stepping in slower, keeping the time span shorter at the gym, and then allowing it to grow and allowing it to get more space and take its space that it needs, allowing your body, listening to your body and seeing what your body wants. Well, if you're hurting in a certain area, you're not going to work that part out. So you want to give that part a rest. Maybe, figure out something to support it. And I guess that can go for anything, right? Whatever we start with, if you start out slow and have your pieces, you're going to start getting excited about it. And then that piece starts to grow more and more. And that's more of the way to go in, where, I don't know, I've started things like full bore, and it's not easy to hold that energy for the whole time when, not everything is in place. You start, I'll speak for myself, start getting overwhelmed because I need XYZ already. I don't have that. And so it's like, well, let's just start down here. And then I'll get excited, like, oh, you know what? I got to get that piece. Let's build that piece. Let's build that piece. And then it starts coming together. And then that excitement starts to grow. It's like planting a seed. It's really no different. Like, the winter time is really like planting and taking care and kind of protecting that seed that's in the soil, right? And then as it starts getting warmer, it starts to sprout and it starts to move and it starts to grow. And then summertime, it's going full bore, right? I feel like we're just, energetically no different. That's it. If you're looking to build something, if you look at the way the energy is in that manner, it kind of shows you, take a step back and just look at what goes on in nature, and how things work. It's no different growing something within us. And does that mean we shouldn't do certain things in the winter? Absolutely not. You go by where you are and what's stirring up, because where you thought you were going to go could only be a blip on the map. So if you started on that one piece in the winter, by the time it gets to further down the road, you're like, I never thought I was going to be at this place, and it could be that much bigger of, whatever you were trying to grow. So I haven't really put an exact idea out there for myself for this year. I guess it's really just being present to the everyday and how I move through it. If there's gratitude in there, just looking where I want to be and who I want around me more. So there's a whole piece of that. And then still doing the things that I do and feeling how that stuff feels. So either keeping it going or slowing it down or whatever it may be.
You're making a really interesting point, and it brings in some of the fundamentals underlying strategy. So we have a strategy, or we have a vision which requires a strategy, and so we're going to make sure that we've got the resources for that. That then lets us establish some tactics. So like you're saying, I'm not going to hit the gym every day, full power, 7 days a week. I'm going to get in, I'm going to figure out the machines, I'm going to work out what I want to use. You develop systems and processes, and then you start to see the outcome of those things, and you get to reevaluate. That's what I'm thinking of in terms of a strategy. And you and Erika both mentioned about planting seeds, but when you actually consider what we do again in nature with seeds, we've gone through the winter, the fields have been left fallow, and weeds have rotted, things have done what they do in the dark underground, and then the farmers or the gardeners or whoever go out and they know when is the right time to plant certain seeds, what things flourish early, what come later in the season. And our goals should probably be I know I shoulded on myself then, but why would we want them to be any different? We've got this whole year to get through. We know that going flat out will exhaust us by March. So we do plant the early flourishing things and get the benefit of them, but we've also got our eye on the distance of, okay, that's the stuff that's going to come later in the year, and that's the stuff we've got to look forward to. So when you come to that season of harvesting, you're not looking at a whole load of voids and saying, I didn't achieve what I wanted. You're saying, oh, great year. Okay, I can start now planning on what we do in 27, which happens to be us going to visit Gaby at some point. But does that make sense?
It makes sense, and there's another really important part to the strategy that most people forget, especially if they just read it as goal setting. Rather, there's a big difference between goal setting and strategy. Goal setting doesn't really work. It's too simple, and it doesn't have a why, a really good why. And so what? Why am I doing this? I mean, that comes on the deeper level. And the reason why I'm saying that, the one thing we need as well is actually patience. A lot of if you take the seed analogy, you plant the seed sometimes as early as October, November, even flower bulbs, to come up in spring. And they literally are dormant, they're literally sleeping, taking a rest, and then spring comes and they come up. And it's the same. If you set a goal of, I want to lose 10 kilos a month, first of all, it's unrealistic. But secondly, yeah, you need patience. I mean, I probably could do with 20 kilos less, but I put those 20 kilos on over the last 35 years. I'm not going to lose them overnight. It's more realistically to say, well, I probably need 2 years for that. So it takes patience. It needs strategy to get there and not give up because I'm not where I want to be in 6 months.
And
I
also
think,
discipline, just to,
Yes.
because, you know, the doing something once is a thing, doing it a second time is the start of a habit, but continuing to repeat it time and time again after that, some of it is discipline and consistency, and other parts of it are then habit. For instance, me dipping in the lock. Would I have gone in a second time after the 1st of January when it was as horrible and cold as it was, had I not been doing that consistently since July? No. Now it takes a little bit of discipline because it's like, that is actually quite unpleasant. But talk about invigorating afterwards. There's no way I'm stopping doing that. So, like you say, patience, discipline, consistency. Sorry, Erika, I spoke over you.
no, it's fine. I just listening to you guys, and I know we probably have to wrap this recording up, but it's dawning on me that everybody immediately, not everybody, but 9 out of 10, the most common thing we hear is, I'm going to start going to the gym, right? Because you had 365 days to go to the gym. Why suddenly now, January 1st, does the gym look appealing? I don't fucking know. But for me, I think like we have to give this some honesty here and give a little bit of leeway to some of us. I have no intention of going to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym. It's okay for me to say that, but there's also different ways to look at achieving the same thing, right? Like I don't have to go to the gym, but I can get outside more and I can be in nature and I can go for walks and still have the same effect, but also be really listening and feeling into what I want to be doing. Not because I think other people are expecting me to do this. So I'm not going to the gym. Like I'm never going to say going to the gym is my New Year's resolution. Never happening. I used to go to the gym a lot. I have zero interest in the gym right now. I do want to be healthy though and active. So finding the way that it works for you personally, I think is really the key to making these strategies and these goals and these getting it to be consistent. It has to feed a part of you that wants to buy into it, not because you think other people are expecting you.
100%. Absolutely. You know, you reminded me of a meme I saw the other day. There's a thing called In Otter News, and it's about otters, but they're little funny stories and things. And it said, Steve joined the gym in January and it's made absolutely no difference whatsoever. Today's September, he's going to drive down there and see what the hell's going on. And people do that. Is a genuine thing. I've joined the gym. I've paid my membership for the last 6 months. I better actually go.
Right. Exactly.
The one good thing, if you see a pattern, and this is something I look at for myself now, if I see a pattern, if we're going to use the gym theory, right? And I say, I'm going to go to the gym, I don't go to the gym, and I check in September, you can also reach out to a trainer who will walk you around the gym, ask you what your goals are, what you're looking to achieve. They'll put a plan together for you because it could be overwhelming. Don't forget that there's a way of reaching out to others, offer them money, right? That's what they do. And that in itself is moving you forward in more success because now you got the game plan where you weren't sure. Somebody can support you in laying out the game plan. And now your ideas you lay in place and you can hit those goals, hit those things. So don't discount that as a way of moving forward.
And that's an investment in self, which people sometimes, it's like, okay, I'll pay for the gym membership, but I'm not going to actually pay to get a training plan or pay for someone to show me around. And, you know, what you're hitting on there really is, because you could apply that to coaching, couldn't you? I need to make a change in life. I'm choosing to make a change, but I'm not going to pay for a coach or a mentor. And if we don't invest, we're less likely to succeed. And what you're actually achieving is a bit of community. because if you've got someone to say hello to, you're more likely to go back. You start to see people in classes, you start to form some friendships, and all these can go out into other areas of life. We're not simply talking about the gym today. And what have we come back to? Community and connection. And they will help you achieve your strategic aims.
And accountability. Let's not forget that. It makes it a lot easier to achieve your goals if someone's holding you accountable. If you're lacking the discipline and consistency in yourself, which is, there's no shame in that. It's really hard to keep the discipline and consistency on your own. So accountability partners are always a good idea if there's really something that you're looking to achieve.
And that other person could actually stir up that one thing that fires you up, give you the idea of a way of doing something, and now you got that ball of fire to run with. So
it's interesting. I was just thinking the same, and because we already are at time, I was wondering, would that be a good discussion for next week? Why do we avoid accountability partners? Why has accountability a bit of a to it? And let's have a conversation about it. So, any little last words about the subject about strategy versus resolution?
My closing thought, and I know it's very good to quote oneself, but on the theme of accountability, a resolution is easy to abandon because it costs nothing to make. Accountability costs something, and it asks you to notice your own behavior without flinching.
I think my closing thought is resolutions mean really nothing to me because you've had all the time before to achieve something. So it's more about getting serious with yourself and what kind of life do you really want and what does it take for you to get that, so that at the end of the day and at the end of your days, you're not regretting not doing the things that were important to you.
Yeah. I would say a resolution is the idea. And if you know yourself, you can come up with ways of supporting yourself through it to actually achieve the idea and the concept. So there's a part of knowing who you are and how to support yourself in there. So I'll leave it on that.
And my last thought is, because you all know I love communication and language, the hint why resolutions don't work is already in the word. Resolution comes from the word resolve. It's something we have resolved. If we have something we want to achieve, we can't make it a resolvement because it takes work. That's why we need a strategy, and that's why resolutions don't work.
Really true. It's not a problem to be fixed. It's a way of being that we're striving for.
Exactly. Right. Thank you very much, everyone. As usual, the contact details are in the comments, and see you next Tuesday for the next episode about accountability.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Happy New Year.
Bye.